for you here today. Okay. Now, I want to be able to talk about this subject in a way that I think I have the unique opportunity to be able to do so at this particular junction. Okay. There's been a couple of things happening over the past couple of weeks that I think is extremely noteworthy. Extremely noteworthy. Shout out to the Godfather, Kevin Samuels. He recently went on the Joe Budden's podcast and did a fantastic discussion. Now, let me also touch on it from this perspective. I was asked about a year ago, I believe I was on a live show, I was asked about a year ago, do you ever think that the content within this sector will ever go mainstream? And my answer at that time was no. And if it does, it will take 5 years plus for it to be accepted. But I was looking at it from the lens before the meteoric rise of Kevin Samuels, which has given a lot of credence to the talking points within this sector. Now, him going on the Joe Budden's podcast was extremely important, right? It was extremely important. Why? Because it allowed this idea, the ideals of this sector, to be put in front of